So, hopefully we are live right now. Hopefully we are live. I'm just going to wait and see on the watch page, see if it comes through. Yes, we are live. Okay, so we are joined today by Toadie, by Gleam, by Sleeping Warrior, and within 5 minutes we should have the Adam Meakin here. So, hello everybody, how are you?
Bonjour.
Hello, fine, thanks.
0.084.
84, brilliant. Thanks.
So, yeah, I know you joined specifically to ask a question, Toadie.
I did, and I'll share my screen. I have it already.
Yeah, I didn't understand your question, Toby.
No, you're not going to like it. But I'll ask it anyway. Tell me when you see the screen come through.
Yeah, we see.
Yeah. Okie doke. So we've got two examples, because I'd like to let you work through it, Anthony, and just explain it. So we've got a ping pong ball and a glass sphere. So this is the glass sphere. This is a wire, which I will either cut or release, or I'll make a very complicated mechanism to get rid of the wire. And yeah, it's just because you asked how is it staying in the middle, Ranty. So it's got a wire that I will release or come up with some mechanism. 3 wires, doesn't really matter. The wires are red herring. Yeah, you've got this ping pong ball, and I'd love to know in which direction this ball goes. And then over here I've got a billiard ball. I've looked up the grams per centimetre cubed, and of course we know that water is 1, don't we? 1 grams per centimetre cubed. And then I'd love to know which direction the billiard ball goes in.
This is why up and down are relative directions. It doesn't go up and down. Everybody thinks it's up and down, and Bob no doubt pushes that it's up and down. There is an objective up and down. There's not. It goes in the direction of more or less dense, or more or less density. So depending on where the more or less density is, that gives you your direction. So you'd have to tell me where the direction is, or the density is, for me to tell you the direction.
Perfect. So let's take this example. You need more information than just the density of the, well, in this example, the ping pong ball. Of course, we go the billiard ball in a sec. Let's take the ping pong ball.
Well, not really, because we're always on the Earth.
Right. So the Earth does matter. So it's not just relative density. I thought it didn't matter if we were on the Earth or not.
No, it does matter that we're on the Earth, and it does matter that relative density, the Earth is more dense than the air.
Right.
In the same way hot goes to cold, and the direction it travels is always hot to cold. It's always dense to less dense, or less dense to dense.
Right, because I've not heard you say this before. So in this example, you would need to know where the Earth was. This wouldn't therefore work in space, which I know you don't believe in, but high atmosphere.
Yeah, you need to know where the more dense medium is, because objects always align themselves in line with density, right? So if you're going to hide the next layer, the next density medium, then it's going to go.
I'm not hiding anything. I thought in relative density, you just worked it out. You were showing us a mathematical formula. You were working out the relative density of one medium, comparing it to another, and then you were working out a direction.
Yeah, so
let's go. Let's matter where the Earth was. Shall I show you where the Earth is? Because then I think
No. Let's go with the cherry tomato, and let's say that the cherry tomato is in the middle of a glass sphere, and then you say which direction is the cherry tomato going to go in, and you don't show me the mediums that are adjacent to it. So if you don't show me the
aren't any here. This is just glass. It's all the way around. I've totally filled it. There's no air in this glass. Water-filled glass.
Yeah. Well, my opinion would be this: is that ping pong ball would not sit in the middle because it would be filled with air, so it would rise to the top of the ball. So I know what you're saying, that it's just filled with water and there's a ping pong ball in the middle, but the ping pong ball would move to the top.
So you think the ping pong ball? Because remember, I got the wire, then I released the wire, and you think it would go in this direction. Is that right?
Can I just state the point of what the differences of the two arguments are? It's one, is it homogeneous and a gradient from the outer edge to the inner circle, as in is the pressure radial, or is it that there is a gradient from the top to the bottom, because obviously at the bottom it's got all of the weight of the water on top of it, if you understand that.
I'm trying to understand. I'm trying to understand what you guys are saying, because you know what I'm saying. I'm going to say that there is buoyancy here due to gravity, right? You know what I'm going to say, so I won't say what I'm going to say. I just want to understand how your relative density works in these two examples.
Okay, so Ranty, would you mind sharing my screen?
Yeah, you just have to share your screen and it'll just transition to you.
Just override mine. Okay.
Yeah.
So Toadie, do you see
Not
my
yet. Do I need
screen?
to go? Oh yeah, I do now. Yeah. Hang on. Yeah, I do.
Right, so would you agree that if I zoom right in on this and I zoom all the way into the cherry tomato,
Mhm.
right, I can't get any further, but imagine that I could get as far as the zoom so that you couldn't distinguish where the next layers were. And I
Yeah.
just had the cherry tomato and you couldn't see the direction for the next two layers above it, milk and water either side. If I then asked you and said that this is in a neutral buoyancy position or a high entropy position or whatever phrase, and then I changed the density of it and then asked you which way would it go, and I didn't show you the way that the layering was, would you agree with me that you wouldn't be able to tell because you don't know where the relative, because it's relative to the medium, right? And you need to know the medium's relative positions. It's all relative to each other. If you're
Well,
going to hide relative nature, then how would you know which direction?
So hang on, let's go one step at a time. So I disagree, because in the conventional model, as long as I knew where the gravity well was, I would be able to work out the direction it went in if you made a change to it.
Yeah, but
I
you just
think
said as long as you knew where the gravity well was. Well, I'm removing the gravity well from it in your argument, and I'm also removing the relative density argument. So without knowing the gravity well or the relative densities, you wouldn't know which way the cherry tomato would go either.
So let me complete. I think two things. One is that I'm giving you need to know more information. You need to know where the Earth is. Therefore, I will posit that you do need gravity in your model, where I think you say that gravity doesn't exist and you don't need it. The reason being that in the very contrived example you're showing with layers above each other, that seems to be the only situation in which you can explain where things move, where the density obviously has something to do with their move, because you've got these contrived layers above each other. That's why I'm trying to simplify it just to water and then an object in the water, to understand where you get the vector from and the force from, indeed. Because I think this is quite a contrived example and I don't quite understand it. I mean, I can understand, obviously, one layer is less dense, one's more dense, therefore you're saying it will move in a certain direction. But
okay, so listen, you just said that you think that we do need gravity, correct?
Well, I've shown you and you said it matters where the Earth is in my picture.
Did you or did you not just say that you think that we need gravity?
Based on the fact that you told me that you need to know where the Earth was in my picture, yes.
So that's yes, you think that we need gravity. What do you define? How do you define gravity?
I'm not getting into a debate about Newtonian and Einsteinian because we'll be here all night. So I think gravity is a force.
No, listen, you've got to define gravity. If you claim,
I will give you my evidence. Gravity is a force. It relates to something called weight, and I'm very comfortable. I know you're not, but you can argue that with Rumpus and others. I'm very comfortable using Newtonian. I've never used Einsteinian. I probably don't even understand the equations, right? Well above my pay grade. Newtonian gravity I have used, do understand it, and I'm reasonably familiar with it, familiar enough to be able to use it, which is what matters for me.
That was word solid. Let me ask the question again.
That's my honest answer. I'm not getting into the theory of it.
It's still word solid, because even though you might be comfortable with Newtonian principles, Albert Einstein debunked them in 1915. So then the question becomes, are you happy? Hang on, let me finish. Are you comfortable in applying science from pre-World War One?
Yeah, I mean, density and buoyancy worked sort of thousands of years ago. Very comfortable, yeah.
But you're happy applying antiquated science? No, there's no further questions on this line of inquiry, then, is there?
No, you're questioning me. I started with the answer, with the example, and I'm not sure you've answered it. What you've said is you don't like my ideas about gravity, which is fine. I didn't.
You said that you think that we need gravity, right, to denote the direction. And when I asked you to define gravity, you applied a pre-World War One position that's no longer the current science. So I have answered your question, and I've pointed out that you're wrong in your comfortable position. Yeah, you can be comfortable in it, but it doesn't make it right.
So back to the question that I asked then, which is fine. You can debunk my positions all you like, Anthony. You often do. So that's fine. I'll take that on the chin. Yeah, very happy to. I'm an honourable person and don't like getting into arguments that don't really go anywhere. So that's fine. So back to my two examples. Do you need to know anything more about these situations? I think earlier you said you need to know where the Earth was.
No, you need to know where the relative... You need to know everything's relative to each other. So if you're going to say there's other bodies, other relative states, yeah, you need to know those relative states.
So let me give you an example then. Let's take the billiard ball one. This is 1.74. This water is 1 gram per centimeter cube, because obviously it's one. We know that about water. So if I suddenly said there's 1,000 tons of lead above it, would that some way change it or not? I mean, so what do you need to know?
You just
To be able to work out.
You just need to know all the relative states. If you're going to claim that there's additional states,
But
then
this
you need
is
to know what
sealed.
they are.
Would the relative states matter around this? So if I said this was surrounded by milk, yeah, but obviously there's a glass layer in between, would that be relevant to the movement of the particular billiard ball?
The billiard ball within the glass sphere.
So billiard ball, it's in this water, okay? It's in this big sort of sphere of water. I'm holding it with this wire, which I will release at some point, okay? The holding mechanism doesn't really matter here. And then I can tell you all sorts of things surround it, but obviously they're separated by the glass, which is why I've got this glass all the way around it.
So then that's like the Cartesian diver, isn't it? So the Cartesian diver can change its density by changing the pressure inside of it, and then that'll make it move or like rise or fall, or less dense or more dense. So basically, so long as the glass is impermeable and it can't transit, it can't.
I'm telling you, in this example, the glass is impermeable. So whatever is outside, I don't believe. Well, I do believe it, but I know you don't in yours. It's not affecting it. It's not like there's another layer here. I'm not trying to trick you, by the way. There's no trick here. I'm just trying to understand which direction that ball will move in.
Yeah, the outside layer, what did you say was that steel? That isn't going to affect what goes on the inside, because there's a barrier stopping it from interacting, isn't there?
That's right. This glass, not steel, by the way. This is just glass. It's a perfect glass ball, and it's got water inside it, and then it's got this billiard ball.
Yeah, but didn't you say that there was steel on the outside?
No steel.
Oh, right. Maybe I misheard. Well, whatever. So it's just limited to what's going on inside the glass bottle.
That's why I've made it that simple, Anthony. I haven't put other things in, because otherwise it would matter to you if I said this was then oil floating around this.
Because the density.
Exactly. That's not happening.
Yeah, the density and the pressure relationships.
No, I agree. This is why I'm not trying to trick you. I'm not. I know some people do. This isn't a trick. I'm genuinely trying to understand. You've just got a billiard ball. It's in the middle of this water, which is in the middle of this glass sphere, and the glass sphere obviously separates whatever you're saying about pressure and other things that are happening outside of it. So I thought under your model you'd have enough information to tell me which direction this moves in, or this one.
Well, it's going to move in the direction of less or more density, isn't it? You'd have to know where the more or less density is. So we know that the billiard ball is more dense than the medium it's in.
Yep.
And we know that it is going to displace. We don't know the direction because we haven't got any other relative frames of reference to it for it to work to. So
what would you need? Why would this other reference frames affect it, though? Because, I mean, if I said this was half full of water and half full of oil, then you'd say, aha, right, I need to work out the relative densities. But that's not the situation here. This isn't half full. This is totally full of water. It's not going to float in the middle, is it?
I'm just trying to think. So if we did it in the ocean, filled with seawater, and then sealed it in perfect seal, what would that ball do? It would still head towards the more dense medium, wouldn't it? You'd have to see where the more dense medium was around it. Because you'd have
there
to
isn't
see
a more dense medium, is there? It's all surrounded by glass, which I suppose is more dense than the water. Glass is technically a liquid, isn't it, I think? Very slow-moving, viscous liquid, I think, technically glass. Because if you look at old stained glass windows, I think they're wider at the bottom than the top. So I think glass is actually technically a liquid. But that's not why I chose glass, by the way. I chose it because it's transparent. We could call it steel if you wanted, if it made it easier. But glass is nicer. See, I don't think you've got enough information to be able to tell me from just density where this will go, because I don't think it will float in the middle.
I'm not sure what it'd do. I'd have to think.
Okay, so this is what I think will happen. I think this will happen. Ooh. I think that will happen when I release it because of that reason.
So what reason?
This thing down here.
Well, wouldn't it go towards the Earth then, rather than down at 6 o'clock? Wouldn't it be at like 7:30?
Oh, well, yeah, I mean, we can make the Earth a bit bigger if we like. We could put 2 Earths underneath it. I didn't bother copying them, but if we want to do it, I suppose. The scale's not great, is it? But I think we need to know where the gravity well is. And then I think it's reasonably easy to say that even in a
we know that can't be true because Einstein said that gravity is not a force. So you accept Newtonian, and I don't even accept Einstein. But Einstein's the current science, and he says that gravity is not a force. So if the center of the Earth is your perception for why you think it'll go that way, fine, you can be comfortable with the pre-World War One position, but it can't be the right answer as per current science, because Einstein says it's the effect of the curvature of space-time. Do you agree that if Einstein is the current science, that debunks your claim?
No, I don't agree with that, of course not. I said that earlier. What I think is I'm trying to help you refine your model. What I'm trying to do is help you refine your model, because I think you do need to know more, because I don't think you can explain and answer the question I asked yet, and I think you need to work on it a little bit more to find out. I can
accept that you think that I need to know more, but you can't accept that Einstein is your current science and he says it's not a force. So even if the Earth is below in a particular direction and that constitutes what you call down, you're still applying a force. But Einstein said it's not. So if you're comfortable using the pre-World War One position, and I'm saying that I don't even agree with Einstein, but he says he is the current science, where do you go from there if I'm prepared to accept that I need to know more information? Because your only honest position must be that you've got to accept that Einstein's current position doesn't give you the direction of Earth.
No, so I think you're straw manning me. I think that the minute I put the Earth in there, this becomes very easy for all of us to answer it, because it's almost instinctive. We know that the ball will go upwards, and we know the heavier, more dense billiard ball will go downwards towards the surface of the Earth, which obviously is where the gravity well is, where the greatest mass is, and therefore the greatest force due to gravity, which I know you don't like.
Oh, I understand your point, but can you explain? Can you explain to me why you think that I'm straw manning you?
By saying my only honest position is something, yeah. Because I think the other day you told me that I was pulling the whole of the electromagnetic spectrum out of my arse. So I've done a bit of research on that. So we can have. I know you're tired tonight, so we won't do it tonight. But I've got a.
Okay, so back to the point. You said that I was straw manning you. I'm not straw manning you, because whilst I can accept that I may need to know more information in your example, you've got to accept that Einstein is your current science. It is not a force by Einstein, and therefore, if it's not a force, and just by you putting the Earth in a location, and then that gives you your down, how the hell are you getting to that conclusion? If you've got to literally dismiss Einstein. Now, I'm not saying that you're wrong to do that, but
shall I explain how do you want the honest answer from me? And you're not talking to the Rampus or George. You're talking to Toadie here. Yeah. My honest answer is, I don't properly understand Einstein. Okay, as I say, I don't understand.
You do understand when he says it's not a force?
I've seen different things on that, right? I've seen your clips, I've seen, some playing with words with Musa and all this, and probably, it's, as I say, it's one of the topics I avoid. I have measured since being at school, forces in newtons, and I understand Newtonian gravity pretty well, and it works pretty well for me. We could call it dropity or downity, or we could call it whatever we like, if gravity is a trigger word. I understand that there isn't a great explanation for that. I understand that even Newton himself said that it wasn't magical force acting at distance, because that would be a nonsense. I've read that and I've seen it. I've read through his Principia, in fact, or parts of it, actually, because it gets pretty dense. I'm the kind of person who will go away and research and read things. The Einsteinian stuff, I don't understand it. I'm an honest person and I don't understand it. I understand the very concept other people put in videos. So that's why I don't want to go into a conversation about whether it's Einsteinian or Newtonian. I know you and other experts may wish to discuss that.
Toadie, you're monologuing. My question to you was, how is this a straw man? And then I explained why it's not a straw man. And I asked you if my honest position is that I think I may agree with you. I think I may need to know more information. Why is it not the case that you need to know that, or you need to at least acknowledge that the current science states that gravity is not a force? Why can't you acknowledge that's the current science?
I don't know what the current science says. It's, again, above my pay grade. I've seen clips from you that it says it's not a force. I'm happy to know that I can answer this question around densities in liquids by knowing where the location of the Earth is, and using something that's Newtonian gravity. It may well be Einsteinian gravity or not, depending who you want to listen to or read. You're not going to get a concession from me because I don't know the answer. I'm being very honest. I'm someone who is honest and tries to be honest in all things. I don't know the answer. You might be completely right. It might not be a force. It might be some other thing that we don't know what it is yet. Einstein could be completely wrong. Newton could be completely wrong. Newton's very practical. That's why I quite like Newtonian. And I'll stop monologuing. Newton I like. I can follow Newton.
All right. So if you admit that you don't quite understand Einsteinian gravity, let's just go with the basic definition on Wikipedia, right? This is further reading, and I'm not going to say this is right. I'm not going to say it's wrong. I'm just saying this is a starting point. Just type in gravity, go to the Wikipedia entry. Second paragraph. Gravity is most accurately described by the general theory of relativity proposed by Albert Einstein in 1915, which describes gravity not as a force, but as a consequence of the curvature of space-time caused by the uneven distribution of mass. That's not talking about Newtonian principles. That's talking about Einstein, and it's talking about the effect, right? So even though I accept that you may not know about it and you may not understand it, and it's whatever above your pay grade, it is the most accurately described. It is your current science for gravity. Now, that doesn't mean I agree with it. That doesn't mean I'm pushing it. But what I'm trying to get you to at least concede is that this is the current science. It is not a force. Can you concede that it's not a force?
So the problem I have with that is that's talking about gravity, not the forces that I've measured since being at school and understand and I can do Newtonian calculations on. Yeah,
literally, it's on screen. Gravity is not a force. We can call that
Newtonian gravity if we want, or superseded gravity. That's fine. I don't mind conceding that we could call it those things, but it's something that I can work with. One I can work with, one I don't understand.
Right, literally, why is this difficult to understand? Gravity is most accurately described by Einstein, which describes gravity not as a force, but as the consequence of the curvature of space-time. Why is that difficult to understand?
Well, I don't know. I don't understand the equations.
You don't need to understand the equations. The principle's written in your face. It's not a force. If you're expecting me to accept that I may need more information, I expect you to accept that you need to accept that Einstein is your current science and it's not a force.
I'll accept that I might need more information about Newtonian gravity. I'll accept that.
I'll give you that not concession. About Newtonian. Newtonian's gone by World War One.
Sorry, Einsteinian. My mistake. I'll give you that. Right. I'll give you that concession that I need to know more, which I do, by the way, about Einsteinian gravity. Okay. But I don't think this is a fruitful thing for us to look at. I think I'm trying to help you firm up your relative.
No, don't help me. Don't help me. No, just be honest. Don't help me. I'm all right with this. I understand.
That's why I asked the question in chat, and that's why I've come in and I've joined to ask the question properly about the billiard ball and the whatever.
I know, but don't try and help me. I've already conceded that I may need to know more information, but I'm asking you why you can't accept that gravity is not a force, and you insist on applying Newtonians, even though you've just half conceded and said I'm all right with Einstein.
Anthony, I'm not the person proposing a new theory here, am I?
No, you're the one that's applying an old theory and still thinking that it's credible today.
Well, it works in these examples that we've given.
I don't care if it works. Listen, it might work mathematically, but real world, in science, in experiment, it doesn't work at all because according to your science, it isn't a force. So when you put your globe... Toady, when you put your globe underneath and that gives you your direction, Einstein says that the globe's got nothing to do with it because it's not a force, but you're applying it as a force.
Well, it seems to work, that's all. It seems to help me to work things out.
Okay, guys, listen. Ragnar says, can you ask Toady to read the next paragraph? That might be worth looking into. I don't know why, but if you want to read that.
So the most extreme example of this curvature of space-time is a black hole, from which nothing, not even light, can escape once the black hole's event.
No, next bit. However,
for most applications, gravity is well approximated. Yeah, not proved by. That's the key word. You can change the word approximated by calculated.
Wait a minute. He said He said a paragraph, so that's the next. So where it says gravity is the weakest of the four fundamental.
No, he's definitely.
You're right. He's a baller. He's a baller.
He's a baller. Yeah, you're right. No, he's definitely meaning that. 100%. And
he does mean that, doesn't he?
And it's a conceptual change here on Earth when you're talking about eggs and whatnot. But can I interject and outsider looking on and sum up both of what you're saying?
Because Gleam, just give me 1 sec, because I just want to address the next paragraph, because I agree. I read the next sentence, but the next paragraph is this one. Gravity is the weakest of the four fundamental interactions of physics, not force, approximately 10 to the 38 times weaker than the strong interaction, 10 to the 36 times weaker than the electromagnetic force.
That always surprises me, by the way. So I am genuinely always surprised by that, because I think of gravity as quite a strong force. As others do, I suspect. It's probably a matter of scale.
At large,
I'm just agreeing.
large levels it is.
Most dumbass bowlers think that when Neil deGrasse Tyson drops his microphone, they think that that's all down to gravity, and it's got absolutely nothing to do with the fact that it's got mass and it's in the medium of air. They think that's gravity, and I'm like, really? Is that where we're at with half of them? So anyway, Gleam, carry on, sir. I just wanted to address the next paragraph because I think that Ranty was right. That was the next sentence, and we should have gone to the next paragraph. Go on, Gleam. I'll start.
I think that Ragnar guy is a baller, and I think he meant the bit about for most applications.
For most
probably what he was. Yeah, he was trying to be unhelpful, if you know what I mean, or helpful depending whose side you're on.
One thing I would like to say as well is that this is a Wikipedia article. Now, anybody can alter and write Wikipedia.
That's right.
You don't have to be... This isn't for citation purposes. This is just to get a quick idea of something. Doesn't mean it's the truth.
I agree.
Well,
exactly.
Yeah,
that's why I wouldn't...
Whilst we're on this, just let me
I'll give you one example there, and you'll be surprised again by this. If you look at the bit about the black holes, right, I'm quite sceptical about that. Though it appeared there, didn't it? It said the best example of this is black holes, right? It's
Sorry, I just want to show something specific to emphasize Ranty's point. This used to say on space-time, it used to say space-time is any mathematical model that fuses the three times, blah, 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 blah. And there was a point in here where it said that Einsteinian superseded Newtonian principles. And the word superseded has been replaced by something else now. It doesn't have the word superseded anymore. It's been changed. And when you go into the history of the page, view history, you can see that somebody, I don't know who it is, it'll be some ball earth idiot. In here, it talks about the revisions that are in there. And it's a while ago now, so it'll be further down the list. And literally, he literally says he's changed the word superseded for the word refined, because the flat earthers take too much of an issue with the word superseded. And I'm like, that's obviously somebody in this discussion. And I can't find it now because I'm put under pressure. But I just wanted to support Ranty's point. Anyway, go on, carry on. I'm sorry, carry on, sir.
Yeah. So from if I'm talking to Toady from Sleeping Warrior's point of view. Where, okay, so
I'm not sure Anthony needs a translator, but
yeah, no, it's not a translation. It's an outsider looking in's point of view of what Anthony's trying to get across to you. I think, put it this way, you're both talking about exactly the same thing, but different concepts. That's all. You're just calling things differently. So Anthony's version is basically you have mass where obviously there is a order of magnitude of density from real dense stuff down at the bottom in the center of Earth, whatever shape it may be. But if you took a column from deep underground right the way up to the top of the atmosphere, you would obviously have a density tower there of matter naturally formed like that. So that is a natural forming of that. That is what he is saying gravity is. And if you rewind it right back with the Archimedes principle, that was something that was invented without gravity even in mind. It was just literally Archimedes getting in a bath and realizing that his body weight would displace exactly the same amount of water. And there was no gravity around. He built one of the largest ships that would dwarf many ships nowadays. And no gravity account until 2,000 years later in 1600s.
So I think that's all fine, Glenn, but part of the issue I have with it is, so part of Anthony's thing is absolutely correct, where he looks at relative densities in liquids and compares them. And by the way, I don't think anyone's arguing. I'm certainly not arguing with that. That is absolutely a thing. If you know the densities and the relative densities of liquids and then put an object in them, of course you can predict where it will move to. I've got no problem with that. That works. I don't think anyone, well, hopefully no one is fighting against that, because that's obviously a thing. It's just the way that Anthony does it. He says it doesn't matter which way you divide it by. I think it probably does, but we'll see as the theory, as Anthony's theory develops.
Guys, just check this out. I found it, right? This is in the history of the definitions for general relativity, the revision
Oh, you mean
history.
when it was changed? Mm.
Yeah. Look at this, right? I don't know who these people are, and I genuinely, honestly, it's not me. I don't know who they are, but they're obviously in the discussion, right? It starts with the oldest revision, which is here, 29th of June this year. Yeah. Supersedes is seriously misinterpreted by some people, flat earthers, as if Newton gravity is no longer valid and gravity is not a force. I reckon that's fight the flat earth, right? And then we go to the next one.
You're right.
Somebody else has then changed it on the 4th of July, and he says, changing things only adds fuel to flat earthers. They always take things out of context. The sentence
I think that's his name.
What?
Mitchell. Surname.
Is it?
No, it's Craig McNeil, isn't it?
Craig O'Neill or McNeil.
Craig McNeil's a wanker. He wears a wanker's hat.
Okay,
Look at that. He must be one of the mods, though, for this one. Surely this one, a fundamental definition, has got a serious mod. Because look, W.T. Mitchell is below again as well, but they obviously are in the chats. Because look, you can see the context.
Yeah, no, someone's took that off. Sorry, yeah, I've only just realised what that's actually saying.
No, it's
Yeah,
So
someone's undone it.
That's right. So he said, changing things only adds fuel to flat earthers. They always take things out of context. The sentence continues, quote, providing a unified description of gravity, no need to remove the word superseded. So he's changed it, and then there's another reference to it a bit further up, and it says, I told you to stop pandering to flat earthers. Now they are highlighting that the word has been changed like they had a point. Of course we have a point. Superseded doesn't mean refined, but anyway, just leave it as it was. It still says supersedes everywhere else. The context is fine.
That's really gaslighting, isn't it?
Wicked
That's serious gaslighting.
It's got like that word supersede. So they're literally changing Wikipedia because that's the one thing they can do. It wouldn't surprise me if it was M. Scott Beach, but anyway.
So we don't know who's changing it, right? There's probably some mods, but I'm surprised that it isn't more firmly moderated because it's quite a fundamental bit of Wikipedia, right? And a lot of people use it. So, because on Wikipedia they have closed mods, so it has to be a group of sort of experts before anything is changed for certain things to stop people just writing whatever kind of rubbish on certain topics, yeah? I'm surprised this one isn't, better modded. Yeah. Because clearly you can see from the comments they put in that it's astounding. I'm shocked by that.
And just to avoid any criticisms against me, I know that this document did have the word superseded in it because I used to reference it on Nathan's whilst this Fight the Flat Earth thing was going on. And when I came back to it recently, I couldn't find it. And I was like, I'm sure it said it in this document.
I actually apologise to you. I thought you were just being paranoid, so I should probably apologise. I did kind of think, he's probably just being paranoid.
No, honestly, I went back to one of the previous debates for it, found it, and it did say the word superseded. So I thought,
yeah, I can see it. Honestly, Anthony, I can see it. You were right.
Hang on, just leave it up. Can I sort of like do this in a conspiracy cats way? So it would be lowercase I told you to stop pandering to flat earthers. Now they are highlighting no comma. Now they are highlighting that the word has been changed like they had a point. Full stop. No comma. No space. No cap. No capital letter, just leave it as it was, full stop, no space. Just no capital letter, it still says supersedes everywhere else, comma, no space. The context is fine, full stop.
Hashtag no space comma.
Oh, that's awesome. So whoever did this, obviously, needs to go back to school, I think.
And then look at the next one. Look, an hour and a bit later, he undid the revision by 907491120 and then referred that person to whatever this talk page is. There's obviously a sort of like a forum, I guess, the talk page, where they can go and discuss this. Pretty interesting, isn't it?
You can go to the talk page with your concerns. So far, there's no consensus for your
view. Exactly. I wonder what his view was. It's pretty interesting, isn't it?
I'd love to know who these people are. I mean, did you watch by any chance Jason the Disbury family today whilst he was doing his Global Eye Tour?
I did.
One of the actual trolls, what we call trolls, obviously they would be your friends. He turned up in his bikie gear. I'd love to know what bike he's got. His name was Howard. I think I know which one he is, but Jason didn't know who he was. Neither did I. I had to ask his name. But anyway, he started misrepresenting me, so I got on the phone and rang Jason. I says, "Put him up phone, Jason." Gets him up phone and starts telling him that gravity's not a force.
I didn't see that bit. I saw the bit with Roxanne, but maybe that was yesterday. No, I didn't see the bit today. At least people are attending the tour. That's a good thing. And remember, not everyone is my friend. Yeah.
Okay, so Toadie, seeing this here, seeing that these things have been changed, specifically
no, I mean
referencing
it's a
flat
bit
earthers,
shocking.
What do you think of that?
as I say, I think that I'm surprised. Well, am I really surprised? Let me think about it for a sec. No, because it's bound to be one of the battlegrounds, isn't it? Because obviously Wikipedia is quite commonly used. So
hang on. Totally. The thing is that if it says supersedes everywhere else, and it does say supersedes, it's not exaggerating to say that everywhere else does say it, because it does. But for instance, somebody to go in there and physically change it so it says refined. That was the revision. He changed it to the word refined. Yeah. I was like, that's got to be somebody on this topic, right? They've gone in and changed.
It's got to be a bit naughty, isn't it? Really?
The narrative. Yes.
So I agree. So what do I really think? I think they need to probably moderate these definitions more. I'm surprised that such a obscure area as flat Earth has washed into these areas, and that people have changed it. Because, as I say, it's a bit naughty, right? If it says supersedes everywhere, you could just leave it supersedes, right? Refined. Like, you should come to a consensus on it. I'm a bit shocked. As you can tell, I'm a bit shocked that people spend their time doing this.
Shout out to Fight the Flat Earth. I think it's him. I think he's gone in there and changed it because he couldn't handle it.
Okay, so when was the dates that you were arguing with Fight the Flat Earth over this? And when was the dates of this changed?
About 2 months ago, wasn't it? What are we in now? August, September.
But this was June. Didn't I see June? No, July. 23rd of July.
You can check it. Let me go
into the people
to his chat.
So that was on the 23rd.
Actually, hang on a sec. Let me just look up the IP address as well. Hang on a sec. Let me just get the IP just so we can see what country they're from. 9226 105 250. Yeah, let me just look up where that is as well, just while you do that. So hang on.
So I'll get the date from when he did. It won't be when he did the thing with Musa. It was when he had the there we go. Dear Sleeping Warriors. Fight. There it is. So discussion on gravity. So it's going to be somewhere between these two dates. So
if you have to click the video to get the date, I think.
21st of March 2019 was the original conversation. But then George Musa, the interview with George Musa is there. Oh no. Go on, where is it? An interview with George Musa was done. Supersedes was mentioned in that. So that was done in 20th of May. So the oldest...
Yeah, when was
this is fascinating. The IP is interesting as well.
29th of June. Go on, what's the IP for?
I think we might be able to track... Well, there aren't that many people from the area. It's King's Lynn, Norfolk.
Norfolk? Interesting.
Yep. Interesting, because I don't think there's that many ball earthers from that location.
Okay. So can we name... Can we name drop?
No, because I'd need to dig a bit more. But
I know. Where did you say?
Of course, it could be anywhere. It could be Scotland via Norfolk, but it's pretty specific. It's King's Lynn, Norfolk, definitely that IP, which is quite unusual. Because normally you get like London, or you know what I mean. But I suppose that's why Wiki put it in, isn't it, to track it?
So King's Lynn, Norfolk.
At least it didn't say Kidderminster.
So anyway, Toady, can I answer the question just as a final closure to your balls, your two balls up on your screen? Yeah, your balls up on your screen. Talking a load of balls, mate.
Show us your balls, mate.
I want to blow you one for the highest continent on Earth, Gleam.
Yeah.
Okay. Just with regards to that last point about King's Lynn, I'm going to shout out Dawn Treader because I know he lives over that way somewhere. So shout out to Dawn Treader.
There we are. But yes, so yes, it does depend on whatever medium it's in, and if you can imagine, it's in its own equilibrium medium, which is water. Yeah. So both of those are surrounded.
Can you share screens again so we can see?
Oh right, hang on a sec. That's me. Bloody hell, where's this share screen? All right.
Get your Mexicans on a bike that's just had it robbed out.
You don't want that one, do you?
No, not the two Mexicans in a cup.
Two Mexicans in a cup? Is that two girls in a cup? What are you talking about? Keynote. There we go. Right. There you go.
Okay, and is that right? Yeah, there.
Oh, so you want them back in the middle.
if they were in the centre, it doesn't matter. However, obviously, you put a reference frame there of Earth in there. But let's say they're both completely submerged in water, completely still, because they're at equilibrium with the outer medium. Obviously, bearing in mind that the glass's thickness is obviously going to be a lot denser and so on. But either way, let's just take it ideal circumstances. The outer medium, there will always be a pressure differential from the top to the bottom of the sphere. Now that's even right next to the water because of obviously the increase in pressure in the standard of density, and just as...
Hang on a sec, let's just go slowly. You're telling me that we're out of the gravity well now, there's going to be a pressure differential through this...
Outside as well as inside, yes. Yes, because of the same...
one, yeah. I'm hoping the glass will...
Well, it's the same reason that you've got a column of air above your head, yeah?
But I think you're confusing with pressure. Then what I'll do is I'll put some holes in here and some valves to make sure I equalise the pressure.
Well, either way, that would just be two balls in a sea, and then one would drop, one would float.
Well, yeah, because of the information about where the Earth is, right?
Well, it's more to do with it being on Earth. Yeah, so that would happen in all cases. Yeah, if that was enclosed and in its ball and right up, so Earth is always below it. So basically, putting two globe Earths below it is just the same as putting two flat Earths below it. So there's a same density column going up in each. It's just you're saying there is a background force called gravity, which is running right the way through all of this mass and pulling it all to the center of this mass. And what Sleeping Warrior is saying is no, there is no force needed. It is just merely a density tower created on a flat Earth or I
understand what you're saying. I got the idea from here. This is in space where you've got a ball of water with a bubble in the middle, right? And the bubble doesn't go in any direction, right? So this is literally where I got the idea from. And that's why I think you should be able to, in your theory, Anthony, be able to say, obviously, which way these goes without the need of having the Earth in the picture.
Yeah, but you do realise they're not in space, though, don't you?
Well, we can get for another day, probably. You're talking about this picture. Yeah, you're talking this picture, aren't you? Yeah, I mean, I've got a lot of stuff on this. So, yeah, let's move to another topic. So I think we're done with this one. Thanks, Gleam, for sort of outlining Anthony's case. And I'll close my bit and I'll stop sharing.
Yeah, it's just basically the same thing. You're both explaining the same thing. It's just that there's two different concepts on what's going on there. One's got a underlying magical background force called gravity, and the other one's not. That's all it is.
As I look forward to having it answered, be good to have it answered. And anyway, let's move on for another topic. Do these things in bite-sized chunks is the best way.
Okay, so just from Gently's channel in the chat, who says, could you remind Gleam, water is incompressible. There could be no density gradient inside the sphere.
There would be. There would always be.
Yeah, of course there would.
Because you've got a volume of air of water above you.
Always going to be a density gradient by virtue of the fact that every object, every mass, every liquid has weight to it, and I use weight in its colloquial sense. You've got a tower above at all points. You've always got a density gradient, always, relative to you in that circle.
Cool. Just thought I would say that because he had a few questions for you on the last chat, so interesting to get them interacting now.
I think Trish said an interesting thing, but I think Anthony won't again like it. You could put a flat Earth underneath, and it would work the same if you assume a flat Earth has gravity. So I don't think it debunks the shape of the Earth. I think she's right, but I think it does obviously relate to gravity.
You could put Earth underneath it, but that doesn't mean that there's gravity causing it. It's the direction of more density, not of push. And let's not forget that Einstein's gravity is like an acceleration of the... Which confuses things even more.
See, I see it a bit differently. I see it as an analogy I've normally give is like guitar strings. If you had a big, let's say a side of a house, a 2-story house with guitar strings 5 centimeters going up, and you've got the thickest guitar string right at the bottom and the very thinnest right at the top. Now just pretend that they're the whole width of the house, and there's enough stretch in them like an elastic band to pull right the way down, the top one right the way down, and the bottom one right the way up to the roof. And that's how I see it, is I see gravity is just basically you taking it out of disequilibrium, i.e. grabbing the bottom string, the big thick one, and pulling it right up, and then you're giving it that potential force. As soon as you let it go, it's going to fling back down until it reaches equilibrium again. And then the same thing with helium. If you take helium as the top string, if you bring it down to air and down to earth into the dense medium, then as soon as you let it go, it's going to spring back up. And then just the medium surrounding this happens to have a maximum rate of induction through it, which is the 9.8 meters per second squared. No external force needed. It's just you've got to take something out of equilibrium and put it in a medium which isn't of equal density. And the further you take it out, the more chance you're going to get to hit terminal velocity, which is the maximum rate of induction.
Tony, can you see the chat at the moment?
Yeah.
Right, so there's BM Verbal. Obviously, we've both spoken to him in the past. Can you see his last question? It's just gone up now. I'll read it. He says he did a video on seawater and density. The gradient 0 to 1,000 meters is minimal. Past that, there is none at all.
What gradient? The density gradient or the pressure gradient? I did a vid on seawater and density. Gradient 0 to 1,000 meters is minimal. Past that, there is none at all. There is no density gradient.
That's the claim.
Does he mean pressure, or just clarify, BM Furball, little weasel? Mean density? Do you mean pressure gradient?
Sorry, I might have confused it. I might have said density gradient when it would have been pressure gradient because of the column of water above it.
Yeah, pressure. The pressure will always be there. Yeah, we were talking about pressure, weren't we? I was understanding it as pressure. If you said density, I interpreted it as pressure.
We'll just wait for his response and see what he says. I'm surprised Adam Meakin hasn't joined. He did say it would be 5 minutes.
Long 5 minutes.
Corrected himself as pressure, sorry. Oh, density.
Oh, density. What?
Yourself and then right, BM Furball, you're going to rephrase the question again to understand which you're on about. You've just corrected yourself and then recorrected yourself. Shout out to Dawn Treader for changing Wikipedia on the general relativity point.
It's interesting that you can actually find out where they live. I didn't think you could do that.
I didn't think, as I say, it normally gets to an area. I didn't realise you could get down to the actual town. But probably in Norfolk there probably aren't that many places you can connect via. I was surprised I got it to King's Lynn.
Well, let's just be clear with Wikipedia. When I did my university degree, they specifically told me that I was not allowed in any shape, form whatsoever to reference any citations from Wikipedia. Right, that was it. If you did, you might as well have just not got anything for any mark that you put in.
Exactly, like we don't use it at all. You're not allowed to because it's seen as an unreliable. It's not a citation source.
All right, so he's saying pressure goes up, but density does not. Well, we know that density does go up because not all matter is the same density in an ocean. In an ocean, you've got the more dense stuff on the floor, which would be the sea bed or the ocean bed. But you've got all the more suspended particles and the more dense stuff towards the bottom. I don't understand how you can argue that the pressure goes up but the density does not. It absolutely does go up.
tell you something. It was all just talking about these fake scams and stuff and things going, where they can sort of like try to impersonate stuff and change things. I had an email today. No, it's actually on Sunday, and it said it was YT support. Right, so from YouTube support. Hello, we received a complaint that there are many spam videos on your YouTube channel. But you don't have to worry, we'll review your channel by our YouTube team and we'll let you know by email, etc, etc. If you don't get back to us, there's a chance we will close your channel, basically. Anyway, then it says channel name, so Ranty Flat Earth, and underneath it says channel password, ... So expecting me to reply with my channel password. And the email, the return email is to yt-control-1@mail.ru.
How many people do you think they get though, Ranty, right? It's shocking. They probably do get some people, otherwise they wouldn't do it.
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine some people... Well, when I saw it, YouTube support, I was like, oh, what's going on here?
Yeah,
Getting demonetised now, here we go. And then I read it and I thought, oh, here we go, yeah, spam, yeah. And then I looked at and I just thought, this doesn't seem right. They want my password. As if I was going to give them that. But yeah, like I say, you must get a few.
Like all those Nigerian princes who all want to give me a load of gold for nothing.
Well, what is it they said in the YouTube report? Was it mail order brides? I think it was mail order brides, the ones who were going to be clamping down on.
The brides. Yeah, I'll order a couple.
I'll see if I can find that email actually, because it won't be that long ago. Hang on, let's have a look. See,
there'll be a sale on shortly.
I think, Anthony, you could do an interesting investigation into a few of the key pages and who's changed what. I think that would make an interesting video actually.
I don't understand how it works. I wouldn't know what I'm doing.
You know, you can dig out some of the things that change if you look at a few of the key definitions around gravity, weight, a few things like that. Or was it Ranty was bringing it up? Maybe it was Ranty. Sorry, I probably got the wrong person. I thought it was you who had brought it up.
No, it wasn't. It was me that brought it up, but I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know what I'm doing. The only reason why I went into it was because I knew that I'd cited from there before with the word supersedes, and it was like it's not in there anymore. It said refined, and I'm like, what the fuck? And then I went back to Nathan's chat from months ago to work out what's gone on, and then I realised that it did say superseded, and then someone's changed it. That's when I went into the history and found Dawn tried to. Somebody else had changed it, and I was like, you little Weasley bastards. Ring Francie, what's your view on it?
I think it's terrible. Well, it's very damning to them, really, because what they're basically doing is gaslighting us. Because we're crapping all over their rhetoric, and their response is to try and change the citations that we're using to prove our point. If you have a strong enough point in the first place, why do you need to go back and try and change things because flat earthers are using this? It doesn't.
No, I do agree with you. I by the way, I completely obviously disagree with your views, but I do agree with the intent that the arguments should be good enough that you shouldn't need to go and try and change definitions. I don't think that's fair, really. All right, I'll have a look at it. I'll have a look at a couple of them because it'd be nice to see that particular individual who changed it, what else they changed. Do you see what I mean? There must be a way of doing a search on that individual to see what they've changed. So rather than just trying to, randomly do it, there might be a way to track down what that person has changed. Yeah.
Just one more thing, Toldy.
Yeah, because I bet you they've changed more than just that. I bet you they've changed some other stuff.
Yeah. His name is a hyperlink. You can click on it.
Can you?
Well, actually, one of the names is a hyperlink. The name W.C. Mitchell is a hyperlink, but I don't know whether that's the change or the revision where he's changed it back. Oh yeah,
anyway.
that Mitchell guy. I can see all the revisions that he made.
Ah, see, so you can see other revisions. Yeah. Do you want to share it if you're looking at it?
Yeah, I mean, you'll have to tell me what I'm looking at, but.
Well, I'm certainly not an expert, but. Well,
this is literally the first. I mean, all I've done is if I go back to the.
Yeah, that was the original one.
If I type in flat again, I should get 3. So DVD-DM, he's the guy that's made the original mistake or the change.
No, I think he's the guy who's telling him off, isn't he? Isn't DVD-DM, isn't he the moderator who's saying, I told you stop pandering to flat earthers, you idiot, or whatever. See?
Well, that's the guy that's made the original change. Supersedes is seriously misinterpreted by some people, flat earthers, right? But it doesn't
Has he
say
got his name.
No. But then when I go to the second one, which is this one, that's W.T. Mitchell saying that.
Oh, hang on, that's his. Just go back. Hang on,
that was his IPv6.
Yeah, exactly. Let me get the IPv6. Hang on, let me just grab the IPv6. Just go back a second. Let me grab that.
Top one there.
Yeah, it's what is it? It's 2A02. Hang on, 1812. Which page is this? Maybe I'll just go and grab it exactly from the thing. It'd be easy to paste it. It's so long, isn't it?
General relativity, revision history.
In fact, all you need to do, Anthony, is you might as well do it yourself. You do what I would do, right? Just open up a new tab.
Yeah.
And then type into Google IP lookup.
Oh, hang
on. IP space lookup. You might as well learn how to do it. The one I found, which is particularly good, is called whatismyipaddress.com.
Okay.
There you go. That was it. Brilliant. Perfect. And now just paste in the. Don't put your IP in. You don't want to reveal where you are. So go to the wiki and do the first one that we found, to the King's Lane one. So that was there we are, 92.26.105.250.
Yeah, but isn't he the admin?
Ah, well, anyway, maybe. So let's take that one. But take that one as an example. Yeah, maybe I've looked at the admin. Let's take that one, and then we'll do the other one. So I'll just show you how to do the short ones. So take the 92 to start with, and then do the longer one.
Take the 92.
Yeah, so take the 92. Just do it with there's an IPv4 and IPv6. Just do the IPv4 first of all. Take the 92 to the 250.
I don't understand.
Directly above it starts with 92.26.
Exactly. So take that.
Right and click.
That's perfect. Right.
This is like Holmes and Watson, really. Getting into it, finding out who's behind changing all the stuff on Wikipedia. Let's see if we can find out.
Stick that on your other page and paste it in. And that's where I got the King's Lynn from. So Control V. That's it, and then look up. And then click the button that says look up. That's it, perfect, it's there. And go down, and that's where you get the Norfolk from. Okay, King's Lynn, which is surprising it goes that specific. And now let's try the longer one.
That is only just its local exchange, by the way.
It is, yeah, exactly. It just means it's someone who lives in that area. And then try that one.
So,
yeah, copy it.
Where's the? Is that the other one?
Yeah, I think that's the other one where he's not identified it. That looks exactly the same. Oh no, it isn't. It's revision by. That's why it's complicated. That's it. Take that bit. Perfect. One more letter. Yeah, that's it. Copy. And as Liam says, that's an IPv6. I'll whack that one in there, and it should do both. All right.
Belgium.
I
reckon that'll be a thingy, right? A proxy server.
It's Ned Flanders.
Yeah.
It's probably a static IP. Static IP, which is a little bit unusual.
Do you want
a dynamic one? But yeah, it's interesting.
Do you want a wacky plot twist?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Mitchell. Mitchell was the guy that designed the Cavendish torsion bar.
Yeah, he was, wasn't he?
Which Coulomb used originally for electricity 10, 15 years beforehand. Just proving the inverse square law.
In a galvanometer. So they have torsion bars in. Anyway, find your Mitchell guy. Let's go down and look at the Mitchell guy. And then with I just saw him. He's been vanished again.
Mitchell.
Under revision. Yeah. What happens when you do that?
So when I click on his name, it says search for contributions, newest or oldest, and it says like 3rd of September, 2nd of September.
All right, so let's see what other things he's doing then. What's he
so it looks like he's influence of BCPL, whatever that is.
So he's a programmer, right? So he works with computer programs. Yeah.
GPS.
Hang on, what else? Birthright, American imperialism. Could be American then. Mushtaq Khan, economy. Rana Chase.
Gala Shields Academy,
That's
Vietnam
quite-
War,
Vietnam War, Anvil Island.
Can you check
Oh,
what
right,
is
okay.
actually
So this-
changed, though? Can you actually see what is actually changed and what he's actually changing in all these different articles that he's doing? Because it might be, you know, like you say that he's into computing and stuff, but he could be changing something against flat Earth.
Well, the colonisation of Mars. It's interesting. He's got a very varied set of topics, hasn't he?
But I would say that's what you'd expect from an admin, right? He'll generally pervade everything, rather than specific areas.
Click on the Colonization of Mars one, because isn't that to do with the old Werner von Braun book about Elon Musk? Wouldn't it be in Elon in his book?
Look at that, an artist's conception of a Mars habitat. I mean, how real does that look? That looks just like a NASA picture, right? Maybe not so much that one, but that'd pass as a real picture from NASA.
What do you mean that is real?
Yeah, I think they've taken a real landscape and then put the.
Pick up.
I know you guys
That's
don't
the
believe.
Welsh mountains.
That's in
the Welsh
Ireland.
mountains, and they've just put a red hue on it.
Yeah, it's in Morocco and it's got red hue. Yeah, I heard it before. Can we just go back and see if it was Mitchell who actually changed it? Was he actually our? Oh, hang on, go to the bottom, Anthony. I saw something there. It said a bit about Mitchell as well. If you just go to the bottom, what did it say in that last bit at the bottom where it gave you like the headline of the guy's name?
Yes, you need to go back up to
There you
Mitchell.
go.
Yeah.
There. W. Mitchell's subpages. Hang on. User rights. Edit summary search. Articles created. Let's see if he's created any articles, which would be interesting.
Flat Earthers must die.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Flat Earth menace.
Fight the flat Earth.
Might be on to something.
You know, because something he's actually created would be.
For some reason, it's not loading.
Oh, it's just taking time.
Just see where he's
Wait.
actually. You see what I mean? We'd get a good idea of him, wouldn't we, if he'd written something, rather than just edit other people's stuff.
Yeah, it'll take us through to Fight the Flat Earth homepage now.
Or his sloth brother in the basement called Kill the Flat Earth. Hey, you guys.
Here we go.
114 pages. All right, he is prolific.
Okay, so let's see what he's done.
Holy shit! Look at all these.
Bloody hell!
This guy must be a font of all knowledge. This guy needs to be on our side. The Tiger General. So are these pages that he's made?
Mandarin, talking about Mandarin and stuff.
Bloody hell!
Okay.
How did he get the time to do all this?
Ni hao, doebaji.
He must be paid to do this because nobody can do this, right?
You can't do this for fun, could you? I mean, it's a huge amount.
Polaris
The
Revolt.
benevolent assimilation.
List of national parks in the Philippines.
He's clearly not in the topic, is he? And he's the guy that's made the correction, right? Somebody's not the original guy, but this guy.
So let's go back and look at the trail to work out who did what. Yeah. So let's go back to the bit that you found and try and work out. Because he seems a bit prolific to be a flat earther. I mean, sorry, a ball earther.
So that's he's not on the
hang
topic,
on.
is he?
Well, also, he's
Undid revision by DVDM. Talk. I told you to stop pandering. So hang on, who undid?
Well, yeah, look,
King's
so
Lynn guy. Right, that's the King's Lynn guy. Yeah, talk.
23rd of July, that's the most recent. And then this one's 4th of July. And then the original one, which is this one, 29th of June, this is the one that's made the original change and he's been told off. So whoever this guy is here.
Supersedes is seriously represented by
Belgium
some
guy.
people flat earthers. That's a Belgium guy, isn't it?
Where's Lau?
Well, unless he's using a proxy server.
Nah.
Hang on. See, DVDM appears a lot. He seems to maybe own this topic and sort of tell people off. Original was okay. Better to talk page. What's this talk page they keep talking about? They keep talking about this talk page, don't they?
Talk about it or something.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah,
I
let's
think
go to
talk
the-
and
click the
contracts.
Click talk, see if it's a
It's
hyperlink.
got a red,
Yeah, click
red
talk.
mark. It's got a red
No,
mark.
no,
on it.
down. Next to Flat
By
Earthers.
flat. By flat.
There.
Yeah, click that, see if it's a hyperlink.
Page does not exist. He's deleted it, I bet you.
This is a talk page. Please respect the talk guidelines. All right. So
Ask
where
him.
you go and
Leave a
write
message.
something.
Yeah, say we're just looking live and we're just thinking, who's the guy from King's Lynn? And
I see. So what he's saying, I think what he's saying is, rather than actually changing the main page or the main definition, right, send in your suggestion that we can look at it. Because it looks like a talk page is like a...
It's a grassing site. That's what it is. People can go there and grass up anything that might be linked.
I'm sure we're boring the audience to death, though.
We probably are, yeah.
No, actually, we're smashing Nathan's live viewers right now, so I don't think we're boring anybody.
I think it's great, though, that somebody's decided to change it because he thinks that it's been totally misinterpreted by some flat earthers. He obviously watches Nathan's show.
So who's the guy saying this? Hang on. So who's the guy that's saying supersedes is seriously misrepresented by flat earthers?
He's the guy that's made the original change, and then this guy's changed it back because he didn't like it. And then
it's a Belgian guy.
Yeah. Former was better. Newton's laws don't need this refinement in unaided human observations of physical laws. And then the original one said, "I told you to stop pandering to flat earthers." I think there's a third one in there. Another one. There's a fourth one because it doesn't flow. There seems to be one missing. There must be a response to him making the original. So if I go to the second one, by Mitchell, he says, "Changing things only adds fuel to a flat earthers. They always take things out of context." I think there must be some after the 4th of July. Oh, there we go. No, Newtonian was fine. General is finer. Please take the talk page. Yeah, so DVDM must be the guy that owns the page.
He must be the main honcho, yeah. Well, there's nothing before that, Anthony. There was nothing before. Yeah, there's no more flat earthers. You didn't find any more references to flat.
No, because supersedes wasn't a thing until about summer. So I don't think it's
really. So how did you get to this page? You just clicked on supersedes, did you?
No, because I'd cited when Craig, like the Flat Earth, picked me up on citing that George Musa document. That's when the word supersedes became an issue, right? Because the issue was what does supersedes mean? Does it mean replace or does it mean refine? And I'm like, it means replace. And the word supersedes became an issue for months. And that's why he went away and he got George Musa in, and the rest has happened. But that happened at like early part of summer, and it's coincided with this. So this is directly as a result of us challenge or using the George Musa thing and Craig picking me up on it. And the rest. But the point is that this is the same time. Someone's been watching this development.
Oh, I see. Someone's trying to change it to make it sound refined. Sounds more like it built on top of it. Where supersede sounds like they threw the old one out and they used a new one. Yeah.
Yeah. So it looks like, well, mind you, I mean, the revisions could go back a long time, couldn't they?
Yeah, but they changed that particular word, didn't they?
See if the word flat comes up anymore when I do 500. Yeah, it's only it's the same 3.
So it's only recent.
So when there's 500 results now, there's only these 3 here, right at the top. There's no other mentions to flat. So let's try the word supersedes. Oh, there's 2.
Not the same bit. That's about the same bit.
Oh. Yeah. It's
so
just time. It's the time period.
So it's only in response to you. It's basically after that spat, wasn't it? They tried, someone's tried to change it.
Yeah.
It's outrageous. It is outrageous. I'm gobsmacked. I hadn't realised the fact they're changing it, but the way they changed the word from refined to supersedes is a bit cheeky as well.
No, they changed supersedes to refined, and then
that's what I mean. That's what I mean. Supersedes implies more the car superseded the horse.
That's right. It
replaced. Didn't use his horses anymore.
Yeah. Oh well. Anyway, have we run out of topics now on the chit chat? Can I go to bed, or are we done?
Yeah, you can go to bed. I've got lots more, but for another time.
Yeah, I'm waiting to catch up with you for the scientific method discussion.
Oh yeah, I've got all my citations ready for that.
Yeah. I want advanced disclosure as well. I don't want you just dropping them on me.
Did I upset you with the ball this evening then?
Pardon?
Did the ball upset you this evening then?
No. The ball was quite good. I was quite happy to concede my little point, and you wouldn't concede yours.
Well, I think I had a good point about the direction of the ball, and I don't know anything about gravity. And I concede that this is naughty. I'll concede this is naughty. I'm pretty honest actually, and this is naughty.
Are we still?
I think it's. Come.
Still online. Is Ranty still alive?
Yeah, I think we're still live.
He's just popped off, hasn't he, to Lou?
Oh well.
Plot twist, though. Guess who invented the scientific method? A flat earther.
No, nobody invented the scientific method. It
Yes,
wasn't
they
invented.
did. Thales
Oh,
of
yeah.
Malthus. Thales of Malthus. Go and look it up. Thales of Malthus. He was the first to say, no, I'm not going to say that this is mythical creatures in the sky and gods. I'm going to record everything with a method.
Alice what?
Thales of Malthus. Also the first person to correctly predict an eclipse on a flat earth model.
Thing is, I've always wondered why it says that you have to manipulate the independent variable yourself, because that's essentially the same as saying you don't believe it unless you've done it yourself, because that's the same argument. And I can see that that's really narrow, but then again, Nathan says, well, it's because if you know that that is the cause, then no one's ever going to debunk it because you've manipulated it yourself. But how the hell are you going to argue that the cause is somewhere up there in space that nobody can ever get to? And I'm like, yeah, I can see why it's strong, but I also can see that it's narrow. And he's like, yeah, but it's strong because it's narrow. It's narrow because it's strong, the mutually inclusive. And I'm like, yeah, I can see that. So it's kind of, I agree it is very narrow, but I also agree that it is very strong as a result of it. And if it doesn't fit into it by the definition given, it means it's pseudoscience. Do I agree with that? I don't know. It's weird. It seems to be so narrow that it's so strong when it's compliant, and that's why the egg thing's a bit of a talking point, because you have to infer additional causes to get gravity in there, because I didn't manipulate gravity, and scientific method says no, can't do that. It's the cause is the thing that you manipulated, and I did manipulate the density, right? I added mass.
That's
Yeah,
it.
I've got all my stuff ready, but we won't go through it now. I've got highlights, I've got citations for you, Anthony. Spent ages putting this all together.
You know what I might do? I might deliberately call in sick that day and let John come in instead, because he's far more adept than I am.
I'm sure it would be far more vociferous.
I know most of the citations that'll get me out of most holes, but if you start getting broad in application and applying it everywhere, I'll start
So
to struggle.
this is my chosen definition of scientific measurement. This one here.
Scientific measurement.
Yeah, method. Can you read it?
Hang on, let me make it bigger.
I don't know if I can make it bigger.
For some reason, it's really low quality. Oh, there we go. We can
Hang on. There we go. Sorry. Does that make it better?
now look at the idea that there is one scientific method and that it does not involve observations and measurements.
This is my note to all the stuff that's followed above, because I don't think there is one scientific method at all. But anyway.
We can now look at the idea that there is one scientific.
Ignore that bit, because that's my dialogue that links to the top bit. Here we go.
Can you just get rid of that D off involved? Because that shouldn't be there.
Where's this?
At the top line. Go up to the
Can't see
top.
it. Where are we? No, that's not part of it.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, don't worry.
Scientific
that's
observation.
Sorry.
See, that starts wrong. Scientific observation. Stop moving. Scientific observation is the central element of scientific method or no, it's not. It's the first step in scientific method. It's not central element. It's not.
Keep reading. This is my chosen
all skill of
definition. I know you won't like it, but just read it.
This is your interpretation of scientific method, though, right?
No, not mine. It comes from here. It's
Observation
my
consists of
preferred one.
receiving knowledge of the outside world through our senses or recording information using scientific tools and instruments. Any data recorded during an experiment can be called an observation. Yeah, that's okay. Scientific process. A scientific process or scientific method requires observations of nature and formulating and testing the hypothesis. It consists of following 4 steps. Observe something and ask questions about a natural phenomena. Make your hypothesis. That's the key part. Number 2. Make predictions about logical consequences and test it by controlled experiment. Ooh.
Yeah,
Test
this is where you.
Yeah, but this is where Gem Panda starts wanking, because this is where we say you have to independently vary the thing, and Gem Panda says no, you can just let it naturally occur.
Yeah, you're not going to like this bit. I know you're not going to like it, because it's a natural experiment or an observational study.
Yeah, but
So
yeah, but
you're going to say
hang on,
that bit's
hang on,
okay,
hang on.
Toady, and that's
Hang on.
okay.
a natural experiment isn't scientific method, and neither is an observational study scientific method.
You're not going to like these 2 pieces, are you? Those are the 2 there. Yeah, those
An
two.
observational
Yeah.
study or a field experiment. Create your conclusion on the basis of data or information gathered in your experiment. See, what I'd say is this citation from explorable.com, which is one that I do use, although in a different context. I would say, is this consistent with other citations describing the same part of scientific method or not? And then I would say, let's go to look at other ones and see, do they say the same thing? And then,
so that's what I did, because I was angered at your cherry picking, so that's why I took them through. So, for example,
how dare you? How
I know,
dare you? I
cherry
gave
picking.
10. I gave
Yeah.
10
I gave
citations.
10. That's why I took 10. Look, annoyed at is, what did I do? I took the first 10 definitions, and this is what I came up with. I took the first 10. And look,
Right.
for example, someone's age might be an independent variable, which I think you will claim can't be.
Somebody's age is an independent variable.
Mm-hmm.
How the hell can somebody's age, which is arbitrary, how is a scalar an arbitrary value considered a cause?
See, I said you wouldn't like it. I took the first 10.
Okay,
Literally the
so
first
then,
10. I knew you wouldn't like
so
them.
so does that?
So I didn't pick them. I just took the first 10 and then highlighted the bits that I knew you wouldn't like. Anyway, let's not try and do it now. I'll disclose all this so you can give your view of it. I'm just showing you that if you.
I can't believe you said that I cherry picked when I provided 10. That's not cherry picking.
Well, I think it is, because I think you took whatever there was and then you picked 10 that you liked. I took the first 10 and highlighted the bits that I knew you wouldn't like.
No, I just picked 10 so that I couldn't be accused of cherry picking.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
I think this could be a show. I think this could be a show for another time, couldn't
I
it?
think it should be. I agree. I think
this could definitely be a show for another time. But I would like to say you need to change the name of the thing, because you've sort of like spelt it wrong. It should be right. It should be right.
No, I mean these are just notes. This isn't ready for presenting, right? I was just showing them. So yeah, I apologise for any typos or misthings to be there. I had a much stronger bit at the front as well. So
well, we can
these are my own notes, right? I'm just giving them a little sneak preview into what's coming.
Well, we can definitely go into that another time for sure.
Not today.
Tomorrow, we've got.
No, tomorrow's too soon.
No, I'm just saying. Right, so if you guys are done, I'll round up the show and I'll just tell people what's going to happen tomorrow then. Okay. Right, bear with me, guys. I'm just going to put you on mute. Right, guys, so tomorrow we have. Who do we have? Martin Leakdy. Martin Leakdy's coming on. Flat Earth British. Absolutely excellent channel. I'm going to take this out because these guys are still talking. Yeah, so we've got Martin Leakdy coming on tomorrow. Hopefully he'll do a mini presentation. It would be excellent if he did. If not, it'll just be a general chit chat. One of the coolest flat earthers you're ever going to come across. Can't wait to see what he's going to bring, and maybe get a few more people on as well. In the meantime, thanks everybody for stopping by. Sam Hain for dropping 2 super chats. Thank you very much. And Trish also for dropping a super chat. I really do appreciate it. I'm going to send you a link now. We have Nathan Oakley still doing his premiere stream there. I was actually on this show whilst I was at work today, so you'll hear me intermittently talking back and forth on that too. So if you want to head on over there, by all means, I'll put the link in right now. In the meantime, this will do for today, and I'll see you all in the next one.